Thank you for flying MMA Junkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is gonna be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMA Junkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook. You're listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes, our co-host. To my left, it's the fight analyst, Dan Tom. Back east, producing like he always does, Danny Otto. What's up, guys?
Hello.
What's going on? The weekend?
It was good. How about
Everything good? A lot of MMA, man. 2 Bellators, 2 UFCs. Big boxing match. Tons of football.
Caught some
Basketball, hockey. What'd you catch?
What didn't you catch?
What'd you catch?
I caught some KSW.
KSW. I saw you tweet that, yeah. What didn't I catch?
I didn't catch the boxing.
Me too. But I saw highlights. And there's an uproar there. Call in on that one too, man. Don't matter. We'll talk about it all on this show. We got 2 hours to fill. We have one solid guest in Colby Covington. Maybe another one that was pitched our way and then all of a sudden kind of fell apart. But you know how we do it over here. We'll adjust on the fly. So, yeah, Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. That also took place this past weekend. Lots of controversy there.
In boxing, that never happens.
What?
Well, I saw that. I saw some very, very passionate pleas from Michael Chiesa and I think Julian Marquez and a few others. Some credible people that I know also had it a draw. I don't see what the big deal is. I think what they didn't like was that one judge had it 4 rounds, or I guess it's a 2-round difference in favor of Deontay Wilder. But either that or they had the problem with it. I don't know. I don't know if people just run to Twitter without taking the time to collect their thoughts.
Quite a few people, though, this time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, boxing...
Because Fury won a lot of rounds, but he got knocked down in those 10-8s in boxing. There's just no question to him, you know. In MMA, you can knock someone down. It doesn't mean you're on your way to a 10-8.
Well, this weekend we had a 30-27 one way, right? Like in MMA, but
so
that one's the one that's the worst.
You saw a lot of people going off. Teddy Atlas, a lot of people in boxing as well. But like I said, I think Kevin Iole had it a draw. I think Joey Odessa had it a draw. And they watch as much boxing as probably Teddy Atlas, just to start there. For sure, more than a lot of the MMA people I named before. But whatever, that's combat sports. That's what happens, I guess. Now, I also heard it was close rounds on both sides. So, where's the problem?
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, we'll get to boxing if someone wants to talk boxing. I want to talk about Australia. Junior Dos Santos defeated Tai Tuivasa in the main event at UFC Fight Night 142. And that, along with Kamaru Usman and Rafael Dos Anjos, I mean, that's cream of the cream of the crop right there, man. Top 10 guys, top 5 guys, mixing it up. And we'll start with Usman and RDA, just so we can go in order. But I should have started with that. That was the tough finale main event. And Goes and I were there. We had a great time. We have 2 new Ultimate Fighters at heavyweight in Juan Espino and at women's featherweight. in Mary Chasson, I think you say it. Okay. I wasn't too excited about the season, the way it played out, but I'll tell you what, the pro was rocking on Friday night, especially that young lady Chasson. A lot of people. I mean, she had a large contingent, similar to what Kelvin Gastelum had years ago. It was a monster, man. But she put in some work against Pani Kianzad. She won there, and then Juan Espino won his. But I was just going through the motions as what I really wanted to see was Kamaru Usman versus Rafael dos Anjos. Man, they went at it. And even though the scores aren't indicative of what happened on Friday, it was still interesting. It was still compelling, especially early on when it looked like it could be 1-1 before Kamaru Usman really, really took over. I tweeted that night that I felt like I was watching a rehydrated 200-pounder versus a rehydrated 185-pounder. The size made a bit of a difference. The skill sets were pretty similar, but Usman's a big kid, man, and that's what makes him so dangerous. He basically imposed his size and strength and his technique on Rafael dos Anjos and finished strong. In fact, that was what was so impressive. I think the way he was just, bludgeoning RDA towards the end, and RDA had thrown everything he had, including the kitchen sink at him, and it wasn't enough. And Kamaru Usman walks away with the win. Such was the win so impressive that not only does Dana White feel like he leapfrogged Santiago Ponzinibbio, if in fact Ponzinibbio had any sort of a slight lead on Kamaru Usman after his big win a few weeks ago, and finished, by the way. But he got past that. He got past the fact that he didn't finish RDA, and he may actually leapfrog Colby Covington, according to Dana White. Now, Dana beat Dana a lot. He says a lot of things, so we don't know what kind of truth there is, but why would he say it if there wasn't a kernel of truth? And we'll be talking to Colby Covington. He's our guest in about an hour or so, so we'll get what his thoughts are. But me personally, I don't know. Like, obviously I know that Usman deserves a title shot. Hell, he can wait out Woodley and Covington. That fight, if the rumors are true, they're looking at third week of January in California. Well, right now we're at the first week of December, so that's 5-6 weeks away. That'd give him a chance to regroup. He just had a training camp for the fight he didn't have in Dallas, Texas in September. And now he had one for this one. They were both 5-round training camps, except this time he fought. So why not use that time to chill out, decompress, and hopefully the winner of Covington and Woodley comes out healthy and they can fight maybe sometime in May or June. That would be what I would advise Usman, But, I mean, I guess if they tell Usman, do you want it, how do you turn that one down? But is he in any form of a hurry? Yeah, can.
Yeah, why not, right?
I guess the only thing he'd be doing is basically pissing off the UFC. But I think he'd only piss them off if Colby's not ready to go. And I'm pretty sure Colby's ready to go.
Well, here's the other. I guess the other thing you have to look at if you're Usman is, what if Colby wins, right? Are they going to do a rematch? That sets you back even more, maybe. But in that particular instance, I think I might just kind of say, you guys duke it out a little bit, and I'll clean up the mess.
And we've said that a lot. We've said that a lot on this show, especially me. I'll say, well, what if it's a barn burner? I always talk about these title fights. If they go down like that, could they run it back? Have they ran it back a lot recently? I know I can jump to one and go, they ran Dillashaw and Garbrandt back. But they weren't willing to run back. We'll just go in order.
Joanna and Rose?
When DC beat Stipe, they didn't run that one back.
Right.
We can't touch light heavyweight because DC hasn't been beaten, and I don't want to think back to the whole mess with Jones and all that. Now let's skip to middleweight. Whitaker he didn't even beat an incumbent, so now we keep going. When Woodley beat Lawler, they didn't run that one back, and that was a starching. So was DC over Stipe, and Lawler was respected, and so was Stipe. Now let's go to lightweight. That's a mess. Let's go to featherweight. When Aldo got beaten by Conor, they didn't run that one back, and he had tenure. What do you have, like 10 years or something like that, with all kinds of title offenses? He said, nah, we're good. Demetrius. I'm going to skip to Demetrius because I already know the answer at Bantam. But Demetrius, there was no interest. Even before he was going to 1, it just didn't look like that one was going to happen either. And, of course, we can jump into the ladies if you want, but I just feel like I think the point's been made. We say it a lot, but it hasn't happened much as of late. So, back to Usman. Could Usman just be thinking, aside from that point itself, at some point, am I just missing my shot if they don't give it to me right here? Or if I decline this right here?
I mean, if you're him, you probably would think that, right? It's difficult to do what he's done. But, I mean, if I were him, I think I'd let those guys go at it. And
there's that Askren wild card out there.
Nah.
And there's the GSP wild card out there, which you just never know. That's just more hoops to have to jump through. Look at Asun Sao. He's got to win over TJ Dillashaw. He's got to win over Marlon Moraes, and they're still making him fight Marlon Moraes. And I don't even know if that nets him a title shot because there's that Dominic Cruz factor out there. But, they're doing this money fight or super fight, I should call it, between Dillashaw and Cejudo. So you could be sitting there, man, with fucking 4 aces in your hand, just telling everybody, let's put them down, let's see who wins. And you're still sweating it, thinking, am I going to win this hand, or does that guy got a royal flush?
Well, what did you think of Kamaru's performance, just itself? Throw away the title picture, all that. Just how did he look?
It was impressive. RDA is a tough customer. I still look at RDA as an undersized welterweight, a guy that maybe might want to return to lightweight one day, and for sure would be a 65er. But I can't take away anything from Usman because that certain guy that I just described in RDA, he took out Lawler. And he's taken out other welterweights.
It's impressive.
So I don't want to take away anything from Usman. He was very impressive. He finished strong. And if they give him the shot, I mean, okay, yeah, but again, that just that would irk me, man, because another guy fought for an interim title, defeated RDA. Could we argue that Colby looked more impressive for RDA than Usman did? What would you guys say to that one?
That would be tough because Usman just never seemed like he was in trouble. Seemed like he kind of – there were – the one thing that I can't believe we didn't talk about was the fact that it was a smaller cage because it did play into that fight a lot. I think it would have been different if that cage was a little bigger. But
not a different outcome, though. That was going to be Usman's night regardless.
Yeah, I don't know. But then there's the thing that the UFC, like if you're the UFC, Usman's not the type of fighter that they like to have the belt, right? They've continuously not wanted that grind them out type guy.
Yeah, I thought you were going in another direction. That's a part of the world that I think they still feel like they want to penetrate, and that's Africa. And he's got the Nigerian roots. So I wonder, because, bro, this weekend, what was the other fight? Oh, man. Hell, it may have been. Yeah. It was Sodiq started speaking. He's got Nigerian roots as well, right?
Sodiq?
And I think there was a third one. And I'm watching the NFL. I mean, that's an untapped part of the world when it comes to sports. And I just wonder if at some point, there's a lot of countries that might have a healthy
but last safe enough.
Certain parts, who knows? I don't know. What was I trying to say? Holy shit.
But
I'm actually blanking for this fucking easy word. In other words, the economies of some of these countries, I think, are still
untapped.
Yeah, exactly. Like we can all, we read a lot, we see a lot of things on TV, and there's definitely some parts of Africa that are very poor. But I think there's a lot of countries that are going to be soon to be thriving, or are thriving enough. If the World Cup went to South Africa, trust me, I think MMA could make an appearance there. But still, I feel like there's a lot of athletes there that can be pulled. I see a lot in the NBA. I see a lot in the NFL. But regardless, so that's why I think it could be attractive. But, yeah, the grinding out style, perhaps not.
I mean, I think that's the reason why with a streak like that, most guys would already have a title shot. I think it's his style that they didn't really like. But I thought he was pretty aggressive this time.
Yeah, they gave him the John Fitch John Fitch path to the title, that's for sure. And
did you think he looked better versus RDA than Colby? What'd you think?
It's hard. I think it's similar. We had a similar argument for Damian Maya, right? Who beat him better, Tyron Woodley or Colby Covington? And
For sure, Colby.
And but you know, people point, well, Colby.
Well, he did have the shoulder.
It's a two-way street, you know, because people point, oh, Colby took damage in the Maya fight, but it's because Colby fought a more aggressive fight. He has a more aggressive style, and we saw that with RDA. You know, he had to take a round off in the 4th round and gave RDA some takedowns in that 4th round, but it was you know, it was more of an aggressive fight. So whereas Usman, I would argue, pitched more of a shutout. Now, it wasn't like a barn-burning shutout. It wasn't the most exciting shutout, but he pitched a shutout nonetheless.
How did it look on TV, by the way? Did it come across as dominant and as if the fans were behind it, or was it a slow main event?
It kind of came off slow, to be honest, for me. And as far as the fans behind it, I would say no, because I was actually having this conversation where someone's bringing up, like, oh, did you see how cheap the tickets dropped? I'm surprised you didn't go. And I was like, and once they told me how much the tickets dropped, I'm like, man, I should have went with you guys and got a seat to this. I think like almost like $68 and stuff, like under 100 from a couple
like
hundred,
right?
Yeah, 150 to 200 range for the general ones, But yeah, I should have been on your guys' plan and went to go see it. So it was a pretty good card. There was really good matchups underneath. You know, I was talking with the chatters on Friday, seeing what night they're more excited for, and I was more excited for Friday over Saturday. Obviously for Bellator, but even I would argue for UFC. And I'm not a tough guy. I didn't even follow the season, but I was still more excited for that card.
Mm-hmm. Well, the statement was made, and Dana was into it. And I got to say, in the arena, it was pretty loud. And we can go into a whole other conversation if maybe sometimes I feel like the UFC's production, like the mics, I don't know whether they're under the cage or what. Sometimes they don't transfer to what the atmosphere is feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think sometimes in the past, Strikeforce and Bellator have picked that up a little bit better than the UFC. And then another thing it could be as simple as Mauro Ranallo. A guy like Mauro Ranallo makes you feel like you're about to jump into the fight, like it's a street fight, you know, like you're actually there, you're with the other guys holding them back. But regardless, we'll get back to the point. Usman won, and could it be enough to leapfrog Colby? I wouldn't like that. Colby won an interim title. Then they said, can you defend? He goes, man, I'm having this nasal surgery, which sounds pretty important. It affects your breathing, your performance. This is a world title fight. He couldn't do it, but I remember Dana telling him, hey, he was the interim. We took it away from him. We were in a pickle. We had to give Till the card. He's next. And now the dude might get jumped over again. Damn, they shared some time at the White House? What the fuck?
I just think it's weird
this
to have
enigma
an
that's
interim
Dana
title
White.
guy.
Huh?
I just think it's weird that he had the belt and won't get the next shot. I just think that's weird.
And it was, and it was weird too, because he was, and I'm not trying to, criticize Dana unfairly here, but the proof is kind of right in front of us. We have an interview where he's saying doing the thing where he's accused of, where it's like, oh well, I don't know if he's gonna get the shot anymore because it looks like this guy might, kind of pitting the favorite sons against each other, so to speak. He does that a lot as almost a form of weeding out a contender, because it's really hard to weed out these contenders in the matchmakers in the UFC's defense. But sometimes we've seen Dana kind of take that let's just say bullish way about it. And the interviewer is like, well, I don't know, a guy who he was kind of been hot and cold on in Usman. Now all of a sudden it's convenient to use him to kind of entice Colby. Where I was just listening to UFC Unfiltered interview, as I wanted to go back and listen to. I was just talking to Goes before the fight. I wanted to listen to Max Holloway interview, and I kind of I'll get lost in track of time, and the next podcast will roll on in the episode. I don't know if you guys do the same thing. And it was a Dana White interview, and it was from earlier this week, and there he was saying, he's like, yeah, I'm excited to put Colby and Tyron together, and da-da-da-da, and he was talking up that matchup. Right. And when they brought up Usman and RDA, he's like, yeah, they're doing their thing. And it was kind of just like, and it was just very opposite, and then that's not even bringing up the whole what he promised Anderson Silva.
I think I have
aspect.
something to add to this.
Yeah.
I know what's going on.
Okay.
When John and a group of other reporters, I think I heard Brett's voice and John's voice, they did a scrum with Dana. And when it got to upcoming title shots, he showed this frustration. And then he said, like, where do you want me to start? Almost like if all the champs or contenders are like playing that evasive game. You know, they're making a little bit of better money now.
Right.
And so they're like, well, I'm not ready. I'm fighting once a year, twice a year. You know what I mean? And Dana was used to like a heavier schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be that what you said about putting that thread out, like if Colby said, I won't be ready for January, I'll be ready for February.
Right.
And Dana's like, fuck, I need a main event for January. That little move is a move on the chessboard that makes the other guy go,
it's
you
the
know,
only thing that
it
makes
turns
sense.
out that's that shoulder or that nasal, things have cleared up, and I will be ready. I mean, maybe it's that. Maybe that's his way of nudging him, which, once again, all of you that hate Dana White, there is a genius to him,
Yep,
and he
yeah.
has to be an asshole and a dick to be in this position. He cannot be beloved. How Scott Coker pulls it off is beyond me, but I think that's what's made Dana be the way he is over the years.
Is there any other scenario that would make sense for him to do that other than what he just said? I mean, I think that's why he did it. There's got to. That's why I was
like
saying there's got to be something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about because it makes zero sense.
It's like the Joker in The Dark Knight when Heath Ledger played him, right? He's just like, the guy's like, don't kill us, we'll come work for you. He's like, oh, there's two of you, only only room for one on the team. Looks like we're having tryouts. And he drops the stick and just leaves, and they both look at the stick and look at each other. Like it's like that.
Yeah, man. So that's probably what it is right there.
Yeah, it's true. And that's life, though. That's life, like you said.
You guys figure it out. I already sent the smoke signal out, and are you healthy? Are you not ready to go? Because I got fights to make.
Yeah.
And let's face it, a lot of the fighters just haven't been fighting as frequently, and then they're not fucking millionaires. I don't get it either. I don't get why, hey, I made 500 grand. Woohoo! Have you seen what the NBA guys do? That's what they make a night. Like, why not continue fighting and making some really, really good money versus just being so happy with, I mean, I know it's way more than you used to make, but still, it's not like retirement money. I don't think so. Whatever.
I agree with your monetary breakdown there, but that goes right into a thought that I was just having, George, is I think it's just like you said with Dana White expecting a heavier schedule. Well, now their schedule is heavier than ever, so they need spokes in the wheel more than squeaky wheels. But through thick and thin, through boom and bust, the squeaky wheel has always gotten the grease for the most part in this promotion. So, in other words, that even though what you're saying is true, they can't afford to do that for too long, George. But if you look at where things especially have been going as of late, you're either going to pick a road. Are you going to be the squeaky wheel to get some nice grease coming your way, or are you just going to be another spoke that gets lost in the wheel? You get real good, you get this win streak that today doesn't really. And to be fair, 10 years ago, back to the John Fitch reference, didn't grant you a title shot either, and you kind of get relegated to that matchmaking where we see it all the time, guys, and I'm not hating on it. It's what it should be. This is why we love the UFC, the best fight the best. But at the same time, you see a matchup like RDA and Usman, and it just feels like you're just trying to kill off contenders in a good way from a business perspective, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. But I've seen the numbers, and I used to be happy if a fighter fought 5 times in 2 years because I knew they couldn't do 3 per fight, 3 per year, 3 per year. It wasn't going to last. So I figured 3 1 year, 2 the next, 3 1 year. So I'd always say 5 every 2 years. But what I'm seeing now, guys, is fighters are fighting once 1 year and twice the other year.
Champions like 3
They make
3
more money
years.
now.
I was gonna
Down.
say, yeah.
They make more money. There's more
They're
things
more
to
comfortable.
do. There's Fox Desk involved.
And our sport, really, I guess, I'll give it up for the athletes in terms of they haven't gotten caught up like other athletes where, like our sport, I mean, aside from Anthony Pettis, our guys and gals, but mostly guys, when they hit it big, they'll go out and get a $20,000 chain. You know what I mean? Like an NBA guy or a MLB guy is wearing that as he's playing, or at least the MLB guy is, and it's like $500,000. Like maybe they're just better with their money, and so they figure, hey, I can actually conserve some of this. I've hit it when they really haven't, like, compared to what other athletes have. If they ever made what they made, but even Floyd Mayweather, man, he fought twice a year, pretty frequently, even towards the end. I don't get it. I don't get what's going on.
But he never drank. He didn't do drugs. Like he would go out, but he wasn't really like a partier. Like that's why he's pretty brilliant, dude. A lot of people give him shit, but he had a very brilliant career and a strategic career. And I think when you add like the Fox Desk, broadcasting, right, like calling the fights, they have so many different avenues now to make money that I think that's why they fight less.
So, like Dan says, if this is going to be one of the busier schedules ever, why are we getting rid of flyweights? I still don't get it. Joseph Benavidez went out there and he got himself a win.
I like that.
People were talking about it, and
Got 2 wins.
he did get 2 wins. You know, he made a good point with DJ out of the way. Maybe the division will be more exciting. It could be that one guy was so great he just throttled it all, like Anderson did back in the day, and now all of a sudden middleweight's kind of thriving. Dana White keeps saying he's not committing to saying that we're done, but on paper it looks like they're done because there's no matchups, no foreseeable matchups. I think there's 1 or 2 left. A few guys are going up to 35. But if there's any chance to save it, I say save it, because here comes Gigi the hater for women's MMA. There's a few per division, but after that, it's a drop-off. And I don't understand if you're going to have straw, fly, bantam, and feather, how you're going to get rid of men's flyweight. Yeah. The only thing you can tell me is, hey, Cyborg sells. I'll give you that. But Nunes hasn't sold that much. You know, and I don't know if Joanna sold or not. Maybe she caused a ripple effect when it came to Google alerts or social media. I mean, the women are pretty popular on social media, that's for sure. But does it sell? Does it mean ratings or does it mean pay-per-views? And I'm not so sure it does. I know Cyborg's become one of those, and Ronda for sure was at one point. But after that, where are these sellers or are some of these ladies that can just, you know, create some ratings? I don't know. But as far as excitement for the hardcore fan, I don't buy that part, man. Hardcore fans, they'll watch those flyweights.
Let me ask you this. A guy like Henry Cejudo, okay, we've seen how important the Latin market has been for the UFC. He's a gold medalist. He's good with the mic, and he's a great fighter. If he doesn't sell, who is that on? How do you not sell a guy like that?
He just became champ.
Yeah, but how? That's what I'm saying. If you have a guy like that, how could you not sell him? He's right there. There's so many things you could do with somebody like that. It's so easy to sell a guy like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know what the reasoning is behind it. I'm kind of with you guys. I feel like love DJ to death, but he was so good that it kind of made the division a little uninteresting at times because he was that good. With him gone, you would think things would pick up.
Yeah. If Dana White, if you have not put the kibosh on it, if you not put in the final nail in the coffin, rethink it. Because I'm telling you, I was working on rankings a little bit earlier this week, and there are just names I don't recognize. And remember, listen to what I'm saying. At flyweight, bantamweight fell apart, by the way. Let me just say that. But every division has about at least 6 where you go, hey, there's some good fighters there. Featherweight, you're really struggling to get to 6. But, okay, we'll give you some. But the other ones, yeah, no problem. Some of them you can get to about 10, and you're like, yup. Hell yeah, any of these matches, especially strawweight, that's money. 10 to 15, it starts to become a struggle. You for sure lost on featherweight. Bantamweight starts to fall apart a little bit. And flyweight, believe it or not, got some athletes that came down from bantamweight and some strawweights that went up. And it's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It turned out to be pretty good. Strawweight, you can go 20 deep, 25 deep, no problem. But I'm telling you, so a few of those, at least the top 2, are not as deep as men's flyweight. It's just social media that could be popular. But other than that, I don't see anything else other than Cyborg's a beast. We'll give her that.
I was just going to say the reason why, you guys asked why they could be getting rid of flyweight. Tinfoil Hat says maybe they are making way for 165. That was stated reason in too many divisions. Yeah, but if we're going off context of Dana White answers or the UFC's answers, I believe one of them was quoted as there's just not enough room on the roster to add another division what they've already added. So if going by their logic, that could be it. That's just tinfoil hat stuff being thrown out there. I don't know.
Well, I know that lightweight and welterweight have about 100 each. If you just took 30 from each, that would leave 70 and 70, and the other one would have 60. You could pull it off. Now, maybe contenders is another thing, but I still feel like there'd be some contenders. And trust me, man, trust me, I see this every week. There's plenty of people to get 65 going, and it would be an exciting division. It would be an incredible division. Same thing goes for 75. But there's no reason to pull 25. 95 is something I used to champion years ago. And if they want to do it, fine. But I see that right now, We're just starting to stock the shelves with 205ers. 85 is blossoming, like we've said, for the last 3 or 4 years. I don't know what 95 would do that. I think that one can wait a little bit. But at some point in time, we'll get to it. All right, the calls are lining up. Let's take a break and get out of the way, and then we'll come back and do a run of calls. And if you want to join them, it's 866-522-2846. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, Channel 93.
Injuries forced them to retire undefeated from MMA with a record of 0-0-0. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
Fantasy football reaction right now on Fantasy Sports Radio. Did top performers Todd Gurley, Keenan Allen, Travis Kelce send your team into the playoffs, or did you get eliminated by the injury to AJ Green, or poor performances by Cardinals running back David Johnson? Talk about Week 13 in fantasy football right now on Fantasy Sports Radio, Sirius 210 XM87, and streaming on your phone on the Sirius XM app or at home on connected devices and speakers. Hey, Danny, what's that song?
Henrietta from the Fratellis.
It was catchy.
Yeah, I don't even know who that is.
I like the beginning.
The Fratellis?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when he muted it, I was like, damn. But, yeah, all right. Let's take some calls. Let's talk about these fights that took place this past weekend. Junior Dos Santos got a win over Tai Tuivasa. Mauricio Shogun Rua weathered a storm versus Tyson Pedro. He got a nice win over Tyson Pedro. Is he back? I don't know, because he looked like shit at first, but he came in better shape than he did against Anthony Smith, and it showed. And then Justin Willis got the win over Mark Hunt. I mean, beautiful jab he was throwing.
Mark with the UFC,
right? It looks like Hunt's done with the UFC. I don't think he's done with MMA. And like Dan said, Tough 28 wasn't bad because there was, aside from the two finales for the featherweight and women's featherweight, heavyweight and women's featherweight, you also had Joseph Benavidez versus Perez. Got that win, Alex Perez. And then you also had, and I don't want to confuse him with Alejandro Perez, who's at bantamweight, Alex Perez. You also had Pedro Munoz getting some quick work done on Brian Caraway.
Yeah.
And again, those are ranked fighters, so I know some of you, that's what you like to see, is the best in every division, and we had some good ones going this weekend. All right, let's take some calls. We'll start off with Showtime in Tennessee. What's up, Showtime? It's your time.
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
What's up, bud?
Showtime.
Hey, man, how about all the freaking local guys getting smoked on the card, man, that night? Normally, when the UFC goes certain places, Brazil or other places, sometimes I just throw a flyer and just do me a parlay, with the locals. But this card, it didn't work out like that, man. Everybody got smoked.
I used to do fun parlays like that too, Showtime. I'll go Team Tiger Showman parlay. I'll go, and sometimes those will hit, sometimes those will miss. But I did think of you this weekend, though, Showtime. I had myself a parlay heavy weekend. I just stacked chalk. My straight plays and props all went to crap. But I had a really good weekend on parlays, layering them though. Did you play any of that chalk this weekend, Showtime?
Yeah, I did okay. I actually ended up coming back last night, dealing with with the football games actually. But what's the chick name? Kenny, is that her name?
Yeah.
Kenny.
Penny Kansas.
Or whatever her name is. Man, she killed me. Dan told me, I think I'm gonna take your advice and I'm gonna stay away from the women on the fights unless I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not gonna put that in the parlay that I feel real good about. I'm gonna keep the women's fights out because it's just it's kind of topsy-turvy. You never know what's gonna happen, man. She killed me with some parlays. Actually, I was up, and I just bet Junior hurt me with that fight because pretty much when Pedro got knocked out, I just doubled down on everything, man. I ended up losing everything the last fight. I just doubled down. I'm like, fuck it, I'm going all in on this fight, man. And I was excited for a minute, and then I'm like, it's levels to this shit, man. And one thing about when you bring those young kids in, man, to fight these old proven vets, man, sometimes they just have to show them there's levels to it. And Tuivasa is a good guy. Well, actually, I'm talking about the football guy now, but there's levels to it. Just put it like that, man. I lost.
I'm glad he brought up Tyson Pedro and as well as the veterans thing because we've been seeing that a lot lately, guys, right? A lot of veterans with younger guys. And from the odds makers to the public to the pundits, we're real quick to push these veterans out the door, but they've been showing more often than not that we got to be careful with that. So, yeah, I've been going the opposite way of that, Showtime. In fact, what my last-minute parlay was, since I stayed away from Pedro, he was the one chalky guy that I stayed away from. Like, he should not be – I'm picking Pedro, but he should not be minus 400. And when I looked at all my plays, I realized I didn't even touch that fight, and I felt real good with my chalk. So I'm like, you know what, let me take Let me repeat my parlay here that I'm already invested in with the chalk guys, and I just tossed in a plus 400 Shogun Hua. That one was really nice. So when all my layered chalk hits, I had that extra bonus because I threw that one dog in on a separate parlay matching it, and that was real nice.
I was thinking about some of these veterans. You got Jose Aldo, right, in the Jeremy Stevens fight. Obviously, that was the young lion versus the older lion. You got Shogun, you got Junior Dos Santos. Those are 3 fighters that we all kind of didn't say they were done, but we felt were probably closer to being gone than having a resurgence. I'm wondering, of those 3 guys, which one is really going to maybe come back and say, I'm here?
Wow.
Well, speaking of Jose Aldo, he just got a fight booked against Cub Swanson at UFC 233 in Anaheim, California. So that's pretty big news.
And you know what I was going to say? I feel like I'm criticizing matchmaking more often than not. That's the kind of matchmaking I love and want to see. And right as I'm saying that, guys, I saw a tweet right before we got on the show today. Cub Swanson quote tweeted it and said, I don't know who's getting this information, but I won't be ready till this date. I'd be more than happy to fight. So it sounds like one of those premature announcement things.
Oh,
think of that what you will,
so
but that's what
he seemed to
Cub Swanson himself tweeted
he won't
that.
Be ready.
Yeah, and he made it sound like he's reiterating a message that it sounds like he's already had that discussion. So you read into that what you like, but I was really just ready to just pay compliment forward for that.
I was going to give them credit. They broke the news. I was like, oh, who got this one? And I saw Combate as I was driving in. Not me driving, but the Uber driver. You want to hear a funny story, Showtime? I'm sitting with him at the fights. And I'm just kind of twiddling my thumbs. I was very open about it on the show that I didn't see the season past like the 4th episode. So I didn't get a chance to see the fighters develop and how good they are. And I go, hey, Goes, who do you think's going to win this? Well, it wasn't just for funsies. I was going to do a small play, right, just to make it exciting. He goes, Panny. And I go, all right. I put it in, and just as I hit enter, he taps me on the shoulder. He goes, nah, Mary's going to win.
Oh,
and I didn't want to go through the steps.
What? You didn't switch it back?
No, it's not easy.
I didn't know you had bet it for one.
It's not easy to do that. So I just went, it's a small play, whatever. But it's funny because it's like me going to Chipotle and ordering my tray, and then right as I get to the end, a bully just goes, I'll take that.
Oh,
and I have no
If I would have known you were betting it, I would have, because she in her first fight, she didn't look that good. And I remember thinking, she's got some of the better credentials coming in here, but she just didn't look that great. In her second fight, she looked pretty good. But the other girl looked pretty tough the whole way through. I just thought the best Penny would beat her.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know, something about the body language, and I just kept remembering what she looked like in that first fight. I go, this girl's going to get her.
Yeah.
But I didn't know you were betting on it.
Yeah, I was, and but what can I do? Because it's my fault for not doing my own research. I
blind
just
betting,
asked someone
right?
else,
That's what they call that, right?
But I saw. Okay, Showtime, beat it, man. Thanks for the call. You've been on for a while. Safe travels out there. You actually tipped me off to Hayes, but see, I thought on Twitter you were implying that you maybe didn't like Hayes. But I could have sworn when we were sitting here, you told me that you thought Hayes had a certain skill set that could trouble win. You remember telling me that?
Yeah, I did.
And so then on that one, for example, I just went, Hayes. It was a small one.
Good.
And it came through. But then I saw you on Twitter implying that maybe it didn't work out, and I thought, maybe he changed his mind, or maybe I misunderstood you.
Oh, no, I picked win. I was just saying that Hayes was a live dog, and I was explaining why. And then something I did, and maybe I'll do because people have been asking, like this week, for example, UC 231, I have my main card breakdown, and I have the picks listed, like you were asking this last week. But people were asking the same question you were, George. A lot of people were like, hey, why aren't your picks listed anymore? So for the weeks on Junkie, where it's not listed on Junkie, I'm going to just try to be tweeting the picks out. And I did that this week. So I tweeted my picks, but below I put
put them on the podcast.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I do that every week on the podcast, but not everybody listens, and I don't blame them. So just Twitter's a nice, easy way. You don't have to listen to my droning voice. You just get my picks. But on the bottom, I listed live dogs, and some of them were dogs that I picked, like Hunt, even though that didn't come through. Or some ones were guys that I didn't pick, and I listed Hayes in there. So I was consistent in that, and I'm glad that worked out for you.
That worked out.
But it was just one of those ones where it's hard to pick a certain way. You get too much wrapped up in the analysis minutia, and you're just that's why as the pick contest winds down, I can't pick from behind or go contrarian because it's just like, well, I kind of just got to do my thing and run it through my normal comb. That's my thing. So it leads you wrong a lot of times too, though. So congrats on you for picking the dog there.
Let's talk to Kevin in Chicago. What's up, Kevin?
What's up? So, long time no talk, but got a couple points to make. So is Usman just going to ride Kobe sloppy seconds all the way to a title shot, or what?
What you mean?
Kobe beat Damian Maia in Brazil, and then he went and beat RDA for a title with the title on the line and pay-per-view. I mean, Usman, who did he beat? He beat Maia on a short notice fight. Maia took the fight on short notice, and then he beat RDA coming off a loss. I mean, that Kobe Covington beating Damian Maia in Brazil, that's a big deal. Beating him in enemy territory. I think that's a real big deal. But my second point is Tyson Fury. We can't complain about MMA judging when these boxing judges are terrible, way worse than
How did you score it?
UFC, MMA. I think the corruption is just way worse. If you saw that Alexander Zavkic, the Ukrainian, they were going to rob him if he didn't get the knockout in the 11th round. They were going to rob him. Luckily, he did get the knockout, and then they robbed Tyson Fury of his comeback win when he dominated the whole fight. I mean, I think he won 9 rounds.
Damn.
I gave Wilder 3 rounds. He got 2 10-8 rounds in the second round. Besides that, he was swinging it in the air all night. It looked sloppy. And, Tyson Fury was looking like a heavyweight Floyd Mayweather in there, ducking and dodging, picking him apart, made him look silly. And they absolutely robbed him. So we can't complain about the judges in MMA when you look at these boxing judges. I don't think it's just not, who knows who won? I think it's corruption. Boxing has a long history of corruption, so I'm about 90% sure it's corruption. What do you guys think?
I mean, they've had some pretty brutal ones.
Yeah.
I don't remember in MMA really there being some that were just so bad. I mean, the Pacquiao one was pretty bad. Actually, he got it twice. Cause Bradley here, I think I was here at Mandalay
the one in
Bay,
Australia?
Right? Yeah, the one in Australia with Horn. Those two were pretty glaring bad.
Well, with this one, like I said, I was talking with Joey Odessa, and he said not only did he think it could be called a draw, he actually felt that going in, and that's the second time he's predicted something like that.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
The other one was Kevin Iole, who once again was scoring close rounds, but he also had it a draw. And so, now, that said, a lot of other people I know had Fury, and so they feel like, Kevin, hey, this just wasn't right. I think even the biggest Wilder supporter will just fight for the draw. I don't think anyone's saying Wilder won. That's where the problem is with that
you know
judge.
What they're saying?
What?
They're saying that the count was too slow. That's what the Wilder people are saying.
That could be some. No, he got up. He got it. He clearly got up.
No. What they're saying is that the referee counted too slow.
Yeah, I think he was going to beat it either way. I think he was just laying there going like, damn, I got knocked down. But the way he got up showed me like he was good to go.
I was channel flipping. I'm glad Kevin brought this fight up. I was channel flipping, so not channel flipping, but double screening it. So I can't give a score. I did see a lot of draws before the draw was announced. I also, saw what Odessa posted as far as calling that, and so you could argue, people are calling it, or you can kind of see, it sets up a rematch, and I totally get the tinfoil hat thought. I'm not trying to kerfluffle that down. I don't even know if that's a dang word, but what I guess I want to say is the 3 rounds that Kevin said. A lot of people the people that I respect for boxing, I saw them say the same thing, that you could argue probably 3 rounds for Wilder, but no more than that. Now, those are the people that I respect to follow boxing. Those were their kind of second viewing, morning after watches. I think a lot of people live were caught up in the draw just because of the drama and be like, well, I could maybe see a draw. But if people that went back to watch it, just saying, it's just pretty much Fury outboxing him for the most part. That's what I saw when I wouldn't see a knockdown. I looked over to the other screen. I saw Fury, working his jab, going to the body, dicing around. So I don't know.
Max Kellerman said he'll save his analysis for his show, but I was looking to see what his score was. When I went to Dan Raphael.
Max Kellerman, that's the last person you should listen to is him. That dude is a joke. I wouldn't listen to him for nothing. What I wanted to say
and then Dan Raphael from ESPN was another one. And he blocked me.
You did?
Like when I went to his Twitter just to see what he scored, I noticed I was blocked, and I was like, how the fuck did that happen? Like, who would block me? I'm legit.
Yeah,
I'm the man. I'm funny. I'm entertaining. Like,
positive,
I'm not an asshole or
Twitter.
nothing like that.
Yeah.
But I'm blocked, so I don't even. I was trying to remember when's the last time I tweeted that guy.
I
Who knows? It was a big mix-up. Kevin, good stuff, man. Thanks for calling in. We got to go, though. It's second break time. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, Channel 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
They taught Andy Griffith how to whistle. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Let's get to Marco from Waco, Texas. What's up, Marco? How you doing?
Marco from Waco, ¿qué pasa, Atos?
You tell me, what's up?
So, Tyson Fury won that fight, dude. And I tell you, you can make a case, like if you amplify the fight with the Hubble telescope, that maybe it was a draw. But whoever was that motherfucker that gave the fight to Deontay Wilder, I am legally blind, and I could see that freaking Wilder did not won that fight. That's what freaking boxing pissed me off, man. I thought after this fight was an entertaining fight, but don't do me like that, man. Fury won that fight fair and square.
Would you order the rematch?
Well, I guess we are going to have to see the rematch now. We don't have a choice, but we always have a choice.
Well, you know, okay, so here's the other thing. Are we going to run out of time? All right. Why does everyone say this was all for the rematch? It's all corruption. If clearly Wilder doesn't put him down, the one judge that called it a draw was going to give it to Fury. Did he actually do a scorecard and go, I'm just going to score it this way, knowing that Wilder's going to knock him down? I'll put the draw. Homeboy's on the other side. This guy's on this side, and then we go in the back and meet some gangster who's going to give us a briefcase. I mean, that's kind of silly too. They revealed the scores of how they were looking. Those scores are turned in every round, and that's what it's playing out to. They could not have predicted that that's what Wilder was going to do. Therefore, what we have a problem with is the judge that scored it for Wilder. But the draw itself, that's not that crazy is what I'm saying.
And the fighter can't be in on it, right? Because otherwise you wouldn't tell him, hey, knock his head off of his shoulders, and then we'll have him come like, most people
pull back
get up
enough for him to get up from, right? Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be able to. If Fury would have staggered and fell into the ref, the ref would have waved it, and that would have been it. But I agree with everyone that says there shouldn't have been a winning score for Wilder, which shocks me because I thought Wilder was going to blast them before round 9, and I couldn't have been more wrong.
Well, let's sing, man. Kamaru Usman looked fantastic on Friday, but it doesn't feel right escaping Colby Covington. Colby Covington not only won the freaking interest strap, but he has been promoting the shit out of that belt and the shit out of the fight. And Kamaru Usman just stepping in like that. Even though I don't like Colby's stick, I want to see that fight with Tyron Woodley first. Peace out.
See you, bud. All right, as you can tell, we're up against the clock here. That's the top of the hour break. It's a quick one. When we come back, we'll be talking to Colby Covington. Right, guys, or is it later?
Let me double check.
All right, yeah, I think it's coming up here in this hour. MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 93. Don't touch that dial. I get a kick out of this song. To me, it sounds like Lisa Simpson and all her friends from band are in a garage, and they're all playing the instruments completely off, but somehow a great rapper was able to come in and make something out of it.
Be slapping the bass so hard in this song. Remember the music video where they're moving into the neighborhood?
Simpsons.
P. Diddy and Company. Puff Daddy.
Is that who this is?
Yeah. And they're moving into.
This is P. Diddy?
Yeah, and it's like just him and a bunch of his friends and his crew moving into this like all rich white neighborhood, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, what's happening?" It's a classic music video.
My buddy got slapped in front of me for telling his dad that he was listening to the song because his dad thought there's no way there's somebody called in Spanish he would be El Papapuf, and his dad just thought he was making fun of him in front of us, so he slapped Marco.
Really?
Yeah, because he goes, what is this you're listening to? And he goes, Los Muñecos Gugu, Las Calabazas Aplastadas, y El Papapuf. When he heard El Papapuf, he's like, you're trying to make me look stupid. He goes, boom, slapped him right in front of him.
Wow.
Yeah, we were like, shit. And we were like, no, these are actually bands.
Did he ask if you wanted a fresh one too?
I wasn't trying to say nothing.
All right, so we're ready to go with our guest, Colby Covington. He is the interim champion in the welterweight division. I never saw anybody take a belt away, did you?
Nope.
Neither did I. So I still consider him the UFC's interim welterweight champ, hoping to unify versus the undisputed champ Tyron Woodley sometime in 2019. Let's get his thoughts. What's up, Colby? How you doing?
Guys, I appreciate you guys having me back on. Always good to talk to my family over at MMA Junkie Radio.
Right on, man. Hey, did I get that wrong? I never saw anybody come get that belt from you.
No. You know, possession is 9/10 of the law. So, you know, no one's taking that belt from me. No one's beating me for that belt. And you know, as far as the UFC website is informed, I'm still listed as the interim champion. So, you know, everybody knows I'm the people's champ. I'm America's champ, and it's time to go get my second belt and take out Woodley and unify the titles.
Colby, I thought this was already kind of set for Anaheim. Can you update us on that? Was that just a date that was thrown out, or is there something to that? Like, have you received any contracts?
You know, I know that they were talking about it, you know, but I leave that to Dan Lambert. He's my manager. He talks to Dana White, so, you know, it's up for them to decide when I'm going to fight Tyron Woodley. I was ready to fight him in Anaheim, you know, or if he needs to back it up to the first quarter next year. But as far as I heard, you know, Woodley's out there still faking injuries. He's getting pardons from his doctors for his execution that I'm about to give him.
Now, to be clear, you can go anytime. You're ready to go. The nasal surgery was months ago, and you're 100%?
Finally back 100%. You know, the nasal surgery is behind me. It's good to be healthy again. You know, I also had I tore a ligament in my foot, so I was getting over that as well. But I'm finally healthy again, and I'm ready to go, you know. So whenever the UFC wants to do this fight with Woodley, I'll be ready to go.
I'd love to see it in Anaheim. That would be great.
Well, you know, they talked to Woodley this morning on TMZ, and he was saying that he is ready to go, and he's thinking January or March. For some reason, February is off the table.
Because February is the one in Australia.
So with those two in mind, Colby, is there anyone that stands out more, or is Dan Lambert really the end-all, be-all on this?
Yeah, you know, it's up to my agent, Dan Lambert. He's negotiator. He's talking with the UFC to get this done. It doesn't matter to me if it's going to be California ruining his career, Tyron Woodley's career, in front of all his fake Hollywood liberal slime friends. I mean, that would be such a tip of my feather in my hat. So it would be amazing to go to Anaheim and finish his career there. But, you know, obviously the fight capital of the world is Las Vegas, Nevada, and they also don't have the 30% taxes like they do in California. So I would save a lot of money in Vegas. But, you know, I'm not out here asking for begging for anything. I'll be ready whenever they need to make this fight. And if California is it, then California is it.
What goes through your head as a fighter? For us, when we hear the possibility of, hey, Usman had a good fight, he could maybe leapfrog you. When we hear that news, it doesn't really make too much sense. It's no disrespect to Kamaru Usman, great fighter. But what goes through your mind when you hear stuff like that, and how fast does all that get cleared up?
You know, I don't pay attention too much to that kind of stuff. You know, I just focus on what I can control. I focus on my training. I focus on my belief and just everything, you know, improving every day as a martial artist, as a person, and just learning from everything. So, you know, I don't really take too much credit into that. You know, people were saying Dana said some comments. You know, I didn't even hear his comments. You know, I don't pay attention. You know, I didn't know there was even a fight show on Friday night. So, you know, I had to find out, you know, through a couple friends there was even a fight show on Friday night. I got better shit to do. I'm the cardio king. I'm out with all my chicks. So, you know, I was a little busy. But when I did hear that Dana White had said those things, you know, I mean, Dana White's a smart man. He's a businessman. The numbers don't lie. So, you know, any way you want to do it, you know, I'm what's best for business. Hate me or love me, I am what's best for business. So, you know, I don't pay attention to any negative. I'm only focused on the positive.
The only thing we could think of was if there was any resistance on your side that Dana's words were some sort of a threat. Hey, Colby, either sign or we're moving on to Usman. But that's us geeks kind of like probing into it, you know, trying to figure out why they would not have the interim champ and the undisputed champ, you know, why they wouldn't have you guys trying to unify. It makes no sense. Like Go said, Kamaru had a great fight. But it just seems like he is the next guy for the winner of you two.
Yeah, I mean, Usman, his last two fights, he hasn't beat anybody coming off wins. So don't you think he should have to earn a fight against someone coming off wins? He just fought two guys that I'd already took their souls. Those guys were shells of their former selves because I took those guys' souls. So Usman needs to go out there and prove himself and beat someone coming off a win. And then we could talk, you know. Besides that, you know, the guy's just copying everything I do. You know, he wants to be me. He's begging to be me.
Colby Covington's our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. We're talking about the possibility of him fighting Tyron Woodley either in January of 2019 or March of 2019. But I think at some point this fight will happen in the first quarter of 2019. Covington saying he's ready to go. He's 100% healthy. All right, let me send it over to the fight analyst, Dan Tom. Dan, what do you have for Colby Covington?
Hey, Colby. Speaking of Usman, after his fight, Dana seemed, fairly impressed and put out there in an interview that, he's in the mix, so to speak. And obviously, there's plenty of ways, we could take that talk from Dana. He's always having to decide contenders from contenders. But I got to ask, how is your relationship with Dana / UFC when you talk to him? Because I got to imagine a guy who's not just, polarizing, bringing fans in, but we had a caller earlier, Marco from Waco, shouts to him saying, "Hey, you're doing the things. You're out there with the belt. You're getting it out there. You're advertising, and most importantly, you're backing it up with your fighting." So I got to imagine that's a kind of a dream guy for the UFC to deal with. How has your talks and dealings been with Dana and them?
Like I had said earlier, I try not to get too involved in the political stuff, all the things behind the scene. I can only take care of what's on my plate, and that's just getting better every day. My training, my health, my living my life, all that stuff. So I'm focused on what I can do and what I can control. I let Dan Lambert talk to Dana White. I let Dan Lambert talk to UFC. So Dan knows I fight, man. I show up to fight every time they want to make a fight. I'm at that fight. Never pulled out of a fight. I always show up to the fight. So I think they realized that, my last fight, there were 16,000 wild fans on their feet in the United Center. The fight this last weekend that supposedly went down on Friday night, what was there, 500 fans at the Pearl at the Palm? So I don't pay attention to anything they say. I'm just focused on me and my journey.
All right. Well, speaking of the fight and the fight coming up, that obviously, we're targeting here with Woodley. Something came out on the TMZ show Woodley did. Essentially, I don't know if you caught wind of it, and I won't break the whole thing down for you, Colby, but it came down to him proposing a little bet that had to do with you paying him $10,000 for any time you touch his leg or attempt a takedown. What do you make of that, Colby? How do you interpret that?
What I make of it is I'm going to counteroffer him, and I'm going to bet him on MMA Junkie Radio that I'm going to give him $10,000 for every punch he throws, all 5 of them.
All right, man. These guys, we got to see it. This fight has been brewing for a year now, and both guys have been getting the job done. But it's inevitable. You have to have the last guy to wear, the undisputed versus the interim champion. That's got to happen, and I think Usman just needs to wait out the winner. That's my opinion. I think I'm being fair. As long as I'm fair, hey, I'll take the heat for whatever I have to take. But why would you have RDA fight Colby, like he said, at the United Center, and make one of them the interim champ if you weren't going to have that guy immediately fight the undisputed champ? Now, the timing didn't work out with the surgery, and they needed to make that fight with Till in Dallas. But now, if everyone's healthy, that has to happen. Usman can get the winner, and then Ponzinibbio can get the winner after that. But I think there's got to be some rhyme or reason to this whole title structure. So those are my 2 cents. All right, Colby. Well, I guess you answered all the questions. You're ready to go. You'll fight in Anaheim or in Vegas. It doesn't matter. There's nothing on your side holding this thing up.
Absolutely. Nothing's on my side. Just like I've been hearing for the UFC, that Dan Lambert's been telling me for the last year straight. We're just waiting on Woodley. That's literally what we've been waiting on the last year. He's been faking injuries. We were supposed to fight last December. He had his fake shoulder surgery, but he was good to fight Nate Diaz during that time. Now, he says he was good to fight me at the Garden. By the way, I was ready to defend my belt, 3 months after my fight in the Garden, but all of a sudden he couldn't fight in the Garden, a week later after negotiations got going, and then he used an out and said his thumb's hurting. So that's a fake news as well, and he's faking injuries again. So, we're just waiting on Woodley. Whenever he wants to go, whatever he wants to tell the people, he lies and says fake news to the media. The story behind the thing, I'm ready to go whenever Woodley wants to go, and this needs to happen. And if it doesn't happen, it's because of Woodley's fault.
All right, there you have it. All right, Colby, great catching up with you. Thank you, as always, for the time. And happy holidays if we don't talk to you before then. And I'm sure at some point in 2019 we'll be talking about your title fight versus Tyron Woodley.
Happy holidays, guys. I appreciate you guys having me on.
All right, take care. We'll see you.
Yeah.
That's Colby Covington. You can follow him on Twitter at ColbyCov MMA. What'd you guys think?
I think you said it best. It just kind of has to happen. Too
Right.
many things have happened between these two guys for that not to happen. It has to happen.
It's a
and
great
it's no
fight.
disrespect to Usman, none
It's
whatsoever.
It's a fight that
No.
makes sense because it makes a lot of money for the UFC and because of the both guys and the belts that they wore, the timing of how things worked out. I realize there sometimes can be a leapfrog effect, but Usman, I would have wanted the finish. Dominance is dominance. I'll give him that. He dominated RDA. I think some sort of a finish, and maybe there's some other kind of talk going on. But Colby made some good points. You know, he also fought two guys coming off the losses. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it just seemed like a different path. I don't know, man. It's you know, they're both great welterweights,
Right.
but I think you have to lean one way, and right now I'm leaning towards Covington.
I will add,
I would tell that to Usman if he was sitting right there.
I agree with you, but since you brought it up, and it also touches on the first point that Kevin in Chicago made, in Usman's defense, he was calling out Maia before Colby did, after one of his earlier victories, saying that he'd get it done in one round. So he was calling out Maia for a while, and I believe RDA, right around the same time Colby was, they were both trying to buck for RDA around that time. And when we were on the military trip, obviously, you know, Colby was bucking for that fight around that time, but so was Usman in his defense. But I agree with what you just said.
All right. Well, this is a wacky sport because we can never figure it out. Now, technically, does that make it exciting or frustrating or more of which one?
It gives us jobs. Is what it does.
Yeah.
If it were cut and dry, we would come in here every Monday and people would just go, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So-and-so will be at this fighting so-and-so at this arena. It would all be mapped
we'd
out.
just be repeating what's out there. But the fact that these kind of wacky things do happen, it creates a little bit of controversy. And it makes, I hate to say it, but it actually makes the fight more exciting when it does finally come around.
It does. It does.
How many times, I mean, for how many years did people go, what would happen if Manny faced Floyd? And when it finally happened, they were past their prime. Nobody gave a shit. You're going to get two fighters in their prime fighting. What more do you want out of a sport?
Even Hunt and Willis, like, we didn't even see the scuffle that happened, but just hearing about it, I was like, oh, well, right? Yeah. I mean, granted, for me, it was like I was a little nervous because I bet the over, so I was like, oh, is that gonna jeopardize the over here? But you know, you get more excited because you want to know what's gonna happen. You know, it's you know, you don't know, and it doesn't mean necessarily it will happen, but it puts it in the air.
Ben Folks had an interesting article where he said, you know, broken promises. He basically talked about Dana White going to Los Angeles to meet with Anderson Silva. He said, will you fight Israel Adesanya? He goes, why would I do that? He goes, because if you win, you get a title shot. And Anderson said, where do I sign? And now those two are going to be fighting on the same card as Robert Whittaker versus Kelvin Gastelum. All right. So what Ben's point is but you just well, I don't know if promise is the exact word, but you basically said that was Colby's shot.
Right.
Many times this past summer, and now you just hinted how it can't be. Why are we to take you for your word, or why is Anderson to take you for your word that you'd get a title shot if you beat Israel Adesanya? And it's true, because what if Jacare between now and then does something great, or even in the weeks after, they'll always go with the hot hand. So maybe it's Dana White's best thing to say is likely, the word likely. You'll likely get a title shot or something. Just never commit to something and leave it open all the time.
I think I'd have to say then I might be likely to take your match. You got to get something in writing at this point, right?
Yeah, that's true. Fighters and their representation. That's what Brian Ortega did. He said he was not going to take this fight unless he knew he was fighting for a world title, the one that's coming up on Saturday.
But here's the thing. If Anderson doesn't take it, so the guys that'll take it, right? So, I mean, he's at that point in his career where you kind of got to play ball a little bit too, right?
Oh, if I was Anderson, I would have signed.
Spot for him,
I would have signed, yeah. I don't have to deal with a wrestler. I just got to outstrike someone that's younger than me. Although if you tell Izzy that, Izzy feels like he's at a higher level of striking. Even the all-time Anderson Silva.
Look at some of those names we threw out earlier, though. Those are guys that are kind of in the similar spot, right? That, like, you know, Jose Aldo, we thought he was on his way out. Shogun, we thought he was on his way.
And 4-ounce gloves, you just don't know. You know that Hesdy Gurgis guy who was it's Showtime heavyweight champ?
Yeah.
He got knocked out
Yeah.
by a 6-0 fighter.
Christ.
It's these 4-ounce gloves. It's crazy. It's roulette when you walk in there. Anything can happen. Gokhan Saki got knocked out by Khalil Roundtree. In kickboxing, I think even Roundtree would tell you, I don't like my chances against Go Kansaki. But in an MMA fight, you catch someone, it's over.
Ugh, I tried to watch that card on Saturday, by the way.
Bellator?
Yeah, it was...
That main event.
Did you guys even see, like, they didn't even do, like, production for it. Like, I don't even think they aired the main card. They built up the main card, which was just the main event fight. And they led up to it by playing, like they had, like, I think, like, AJ McKee, like, interviews about his cell phone. Like, fighters that had nothing to do with any fight cards coming up. Like, doing interviews about, like, not even about other fighters, like, just irrelevant. You get interrupted by, like, the random fight promos to a literal ding-ding and you're into the first round. You just miss the fighter walkouts. You miss the fighter intros. And then we see Sakara just get iced, right, by this guy that nobody thought was going to ice him.
Have you ever heard an arena get that quiet?
It was weird because it got quiet, so the guy literally knocks him out. He falls, and usually where the guy goes for the follow-up shot and the ref gets in the way, minus all that, because he knocks him out, he falls, the place goes quiet. It is almost like the energy of the arena spoke through Kent, and he immediately didn't follow up and just starts going to check on Sakara, like, oh, are you all right? Like, it was like very Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde-ish, and the production stays on it. Like, this is when they should be going to commercial, and you're even hearing, like, I think, like, Goldie and John kind of talk on mic, but off mic, because they're supposed to be off production. They're like, oh, wow, that was crazy. Like, so you're hearing stuff you're not supposed to hear. You're, like, watching this awkward thing of Sakara, like...
Was this on DAZN or Paramount?
On DAZN. This is on DAZN. If you were trying to watch the live version, if you were trying to watch it live, they're showing him getting, like, put on the stool, all the stuff you're usually not supposed to see in production, and then when it comes back for the announcement and post-fight, that's when the feed cuts out. So you got to see a weird knockout, a really uncomfortable medicals, and that's all you got to see instead of an actual main card or, God forbid, a produced fighter. Sorry, I had to do a little vent on that one, but yeah.
Let's do a couple more calls here since they're in, and we'll start off with Brandon in Louisville. What's up, Brandon?
The one, the only, the real Brandon in Louisville.
Yeah.
Guys, how y'all doing?
Good.
How are you?
Doing good. You know, I'm glad we can turn the page from the biggest douche in the industry, Colby Covington, to talk about a fight about probably the two nicest, most down-to-earth guys in the business, Max Holloway and Brian Ortega.
Yeah.
Guys, I have not been pumped about a fight like this for so long, but it's weird. So we had lunch with Ortega, in October? Does that not seem like a long time ago? We've had so many fights and so many cards since then. It seems like, 6 months. But this fight's here. It's only been 2 months since we really got it announced. Real weird.
Yeah, you're right, because it was the beginning of October, and now it's the beginning of December. So it was just 2 months ago. But, yeah.
Yeah, it just seems like I've been waiting for this fight for months and months and months. But it's finally
here. It's been like a year since Holloway fought.
Yep, yesterday made a year that he beat Jose Aldo for the second time.
This is a guy that was very, very active, but things just slowed down a little bit, so I'm glad to see him back in action.
Is it me, or is it just hard to pick a winner? Not from styles, or just you really don't want to see either guy lose. Just two guys that you can't help but root for, right?
All around, yeah. Styles, personality, and then, you hate to say it, but the intangibles make it impossible to pick two, because I think we're all kind of wondering how Max is going to be heading into this.
Well, for me, that's it. This one's more of a coin flip if Holloway didn't have the year that he had, but because he did, I couldn't possibly gamble on him. I like both guys, and I hope they have a great fight, but I just could not gamble on Holloway because of the year that he's had. And I think a lot of this is just the stress of being a world champion. I think he's in great health, honestly. I just think it's probably the stress of being a world champion, and at some point in time, maybe it was just too much, and it taxed him physically. I believe him when he says that he's over it, but still, now you got to show it to me if I'm ever going to back you with my dollars. But I'll cheer my ass off because Holloway fights don't suck. They are some of the best around, and Ortega's definitely built up his stock as well.
I believe him I believe that he believes he's over it. But I was telling Dan before the show, if you don't know exactly what the hell happened to you, how the hell can you have the confidence going into a fight that that's not going to happen again?
It's the most scariest thought.
Both of you guys have dealt with anxiety before, and the not knowing what the hell's going on, dude, all it takes is just one little thing to feel off. and it starts to snowball in your head, and you start going, oh, my God, am I going through this again? What is this? Why can't people tell me what happened?
Oh.
I don't know. If you told me 100%, both guys are coming in 100%, I think I'd take Max Holloway. But not knowing that, I think, is enough to maybe make me go towards Brian Ortega.
Yeah, not only have I had to deal with the concussion stuff, but yeah, you guys saw this last year. There was a couple months just chasing the autoimmune dragon, not knowing what's going on, and had some scary stuff flown my way. And that is the most was worse than any of the surgeries or anything that I had this year, of just not knowing what the hell's wrong with you. Like, that stress alone is a stress in itself. So great point.
Well, Brandon, like you said, it's 6 days away. So it seems like it was a long time because there's so much other MMA to unpack every goddamn weekend. It just creeps up on us.
2 big fights this month, that one, and then Jones and Gus. Which one are you more hyped for? Which one's the better fight? Later.
Which one's the better fight? Well, once you've already seen two people fight and seen what they're capable of,
right?
I would have to say the better fight would probably be that one.
Yeah.
But looking forward to
But now we got
more.
one guy coming off a long layoff. Both guys actually haven't been fighting frequently. And not that Holloway, I just said Holloway hasn't fought for a year, but I'm going to go with the two guys in their 20s versus now the guys in their 30s.
Yeah.
I would be with you, except believe it or not, the health intangible kind of just tinged this one for me. I have a very much wait and see approach about this whole fight.
Which one?
Holloway Ortega. I don't want to say it as a negative. It's taken away from the luster, but I feel like I'm more concerned to see what kind of Max Holloway we're gonna get, and whatever the result is, it's fine. He loses, he wins, whatever. I just want to see them both perform well, kind of like what you guys said. So I'll say Jones Gus 2. I'm more excited for right now.
Have the embeddeds dropped yet?
Should start today, right?
Today, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I haven't seen it yet.
Well, obviously we'll have to get through these weight cuts, and then I think that for sure we get past that obstacle, and I think going into Saturday, a lot of us will feel that we're seeing the best Ortega challenge the best Holloway.
That should alleviate
right now is a big question mark, and there'll be a big question mark until Friday of this week. All right, let's do one more. And then it's break time. Dan in Oregon, you're up.
What's up, fellas?
Dan.
What's up, man?
Man, I can't stand this blasphemy on this channel for Colby Covington. But what the hell is this all about? Then the callers, you notice, though, they're calling in to talk about Colby. They're not calling in to talk about 30% Usman. And if I'm watching, I don't know, man, I'm watching that fight Friday. I can't wait to see the numbers that come out, because that fight, it didn't seem like anyone cared. There was no eyeballs, and there's nothing worse than a tough card. They're going to throw you a 15-minute promotion about these people that shouldn't be getting any promotion about them. They don't even belong on the main card of these fights, but they go through some season that no one cares about, and all of a sudden we're supposed to care. It's like that's the most lackluster event ever, is that on Friday night. Luckily, we had a Bellator on at the same time. But, man, this is what I've been talking about for a long time. Dana White is in UFC are giving you the lowest quality cards because they're trying to pay people the least amount of money. The figures just came out. George, you said it multiple times, $500,000 to at least get Colby in there. And now what? There's talk everywhere that, oh, this is Colby's shot. If he doesn't win, he's talked himself up so much that he's just going to fall down to the bottom. Well, properly pay this guy then. You guys are doing a pay-per-view. You're going to make $5-10 million on that, and he just wants a piece of that pie. That's what I see. George totally called it. I'm going to pit this guy against this guy. I'm going to tell everyone that Colby shouldn't get it, even though we all know that he should. And it's pitiful what they're doing, man. Like, oh, it's all contract negotiations. But we don't need to hear about that bullshit. You're going to come out, oh, it looks like Usman's the guy. What's Colby done? As everyone's mentioned, he beat RDA before that, when RDA was on a win streak, when RDA actually had something going for him. So, man, this Usman talk's just crazy. Dana White's nuts. I'm sick of getting this low-quality product from him. And look what happens. He does this to guys, promises them title shots, and we think that there's no consequences to this. Where's Miesha Tate right now? Has she got some job with the UFC? Nope. Peace. Later. As soon as she could, she said, later UFC, and she's just trying to represent MMA and what it possibly could be, man. So this Colby talk is just blasphemous, everything that I'm hearing. Last year, the fights that we're looking forward to the most, top 5 is Woodley versus Covington. Tell me I'm a liar. Back to you guys.
All right, see, but
That was a lot to process.
Well, we said at one point that Colby and Woodley was the fight we wanted to see the most.
Yeah.
Why? Because they had talked it up.
I agree.
So he's right on that. I don't remember when this was. This was like 3 to 6 months ago. I mean, I think I even said it to Tyron himself. I said, Tyron, this guy's done all the heavy lifting. All you got to do is show up and smash him, because either people are going to root for him or root against him, but people are going to tune in. I think Tyron finally was kind of seeing it a little, but he's a little stubborn himself in terms of, hell, maybe he was accepting that that people weren't tuning in for him necessarily, but to see the other guy get his ass kicked.
Oh, that's
you see what I'm saying?
That's what's weird about that fight is, if you want to use like wrestling terms, you have a baby face and a heel,
right?
But it's not the same. Like for there's a lot of, if you poll 10 people, 5 of them will tell you Colby's the face. The other 5 will go Tyron's the face. Like, it's so weird because now they've dragged politics into it. There's so many different routes where I think a fight like this will definitely sell in a heartbeat. Just let them both talk to each other.
And then on top of it all, Tyron goes in there, finishes Till, and he was so calm, cool, and collected afterwards that he didn't even need to say anything else. And he got a lot of love because now that was his 4th title defense. He got the finish. So away went all those fights that weren't as exciting or whatever. And all of a sudden he was beloved by, people that were starting to turn their back on him. But it's there, man. It's there for the taking. Take that fight. And all we're saying is, we're not saying Usman's not a championship caliber fighter. He clearly is. It's just Usman just had a training camp for September, training camp for December. Chill out, Usman. Enjoy the holidays. Watch this fight. Be in the front row. Ask to be taken into the octagon when the fight's over, and build up your fight for like Memorial Day or 4th of July, and it'll be a massive fight. You know what I mean? I don't think he needs to go in there right now. I don't think it's the best thing for him. That's all I'm saying. All right, we should take another break. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
same ball sack, but act as though they've never met. They are the Brothers Garcia, Gorgeous George and Goes.
Get in the spirit of the holidays with SiriusXM's full lineup of holiday channels. 15 channels of commercial-free music, including holiday traditions on Channel 3. Contemporary sounds of the season are on Holly, Channel 4. And new this year, the stars of the Hallmark Channel present their holiday favorites on Hallmark Channel Radio on Channel 70. Get our complete holiday lineup at SiriusXM.com/holidays and bring the holiday cheer into your home on SiriusXM, connected devices, and speakers. Let's give a little facts and figures here from these fight cards this past weekend. 2020 crowded into the Pearl Theater at the Palms Casino for a total gate of 204,600. Juan Espino defeated Justin Frazier for the heavyweight title. He's now the Ultimate Fighter champion for season 28, along with Mary Chasson, it's more French, I think, who defeated Pani Kianzad for the women's featherweight title. So she's the other champion for the Ultimate Fighter season 28. Pedro Munoz got past Brian Caraway. Edmund Shabazian got past Darren Stewart. I know somebody that had a $10,000 bet on Shabazian, and he was sweating it because that thing went all the way to a split decision.
Yeah, I bet.
When it looked like it should have been maybe unanimous.
Put a year on his life. Took a year off his lifespan sweating that out.
Yeah. Antonina Shevchenko defeated Ji Yong Kim. In the prelims, we had Kevin Aguilar, the Angel of Death. He defeated Rick Glenn. Joseph Benavidez got past Alex Perez. Maurice Green from the same season of The Ultimate Fighter as the other two that I mentioned got past Michelle Batista. Leah Letson defeated Julia Stoliarenko. Rosabelle Roberts defeated Daryl Horcher. Tim Means defeated Ricky Rainey. And Honey Barcelos defeated Chris Gutierrez. The bonuses, they went to Fight of the Night, nobody. Performance of the Night, however, there's 4 of them. Kamaru Usman, Juan Espino, Joseph Benavidez, and Rosabelle Roberts. Out in Adelaide, Australia, for UFC Fight Night 142, it was 8,652 for the attendance. 1,026,000 with 937 was the total gate. Junior Dos Santos defeated Tai Tuivasa. Mauricio Shogun Rua defeated Tyson Pedro, both of them getting finishes. Justin Willis, Big Pretty, defeated Mark Hunt. Anthony Rocco Martin defeated Jake Matthews. I thought that was a pretty fun fight, actually. Sodiq Yusuff defeated Suman Mkhitaryan. Jimmy Crute defeated Paul Craig. Alexei Konchenko defeated Yushin Okami. Wilson Hayes defeated Ben Wynn. Ben Wynn, by the way, had that face like, what? Huh? We were talking about with Calvin Kattar and Rob Font. Kenta Nakamura defeated Salim Touhari. Kai Kara France defeated Elias Garcia. Christos Giagos defeated Mizuto Hirota. And Damir Ismagulov defeated Alex Gorgees. Now, let me tell you guys something. I don't know if you guys are going to remember this, but remember what I told you, that Ismagulov guy?
Yeah.
He's going to be good.
I know this is going to...
I'm not going to say a champion.
Because this is
I'm not going to say a champion,
guy.
but he's going to be good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm not very good at this. Every time I've had one of these, they never pan out.
He can strike with a lot of power. He's got cardio, and he's got really good wrestling with ground and pound. That was a great debut. I took notice, and I remembered to write his name down and just make sure to keep an eye on him. When him and Alex Gorgees was... See, what helped was his dance partner in Gorgees, he was making faces like, come on, let's fight, you know. Like, he was egging him on, so that just drew me in closer to the fight. But Damir Ismagulov is no joke, man. He's from Kazakhstan, if I'm not mistaken, which I believe is where Triple G's from.
Yeah.
And born in Russia, but raised in Kazakhstan. I guess he was a border town baby, raised by grandparents or something like that. But this dude, man, was really, really exciting. So that was one of the guys that stood out on the prelims. Hayes and Ben Wynn are ranked as well. So will Justin Willis again, Mauricio Shogun. So there was ranked fighters on both sides. Both cards, I think, had the distribution of talent was fair. It's just that those two fights, the finales, they were on the main card, whereas 142 had Hua and Willis in the same spots that the other guys had. Mary Chasson versus Pani Kianzad, and then Juan Espino versus Justin Frazier, and that's just not even sexy to say. So I could see the struggle with tuning in and powering through all those commercials and just going, all right, already, I want to get to Kamaru versus RDA.
And on that note, since Dan kind of brought it up amongst his tangent of Hellfire, that neither tough card cracked any of the analytics trending for like the top 10 Nielsen, but neither did Fury and Wilder. So it was a hard weekend to crack rating wise. So expect
that one was a pay-per-view though.
Expect low the analytics as far as like how they're tracking.
Okay.
How they used to forecast these things pretty much,
Gotcha.
and it was just a deep week. So we're probably going to see some low numbers on that end. I don't know if you said who got the bonuses or not for that card. Or?
No, you know what? And I may have closed the damn window.
Oh,
you
it's
got
okay.
him?
No worries. No, I was just curious.
Here, I'll tell you right now.
I know I always give them crap, and I would say I agree with the bonuses, the way they did it for the tough card. So for what that's worth, I know I like to give them crap when.
Let's see if I can find. Here it is. This will be quick. The bonuses went to the following. Since I haven't said them, you guys want to guess? Do you know?
I don't.
I'm gonna go with, because I really don't remember who I had to have gotten one. Nah, why am I going to try this? I'm not going to remember. Who's the guy that submitted Matthews? Martin?
Well, there was a bunch of decisions, so it's pretty. All
right, let's just look.
Easy there.
There we go. Kai Kara France versus Elias Garcia.
Should have got fight of the night, probably.
But Garcia kind of got mauled, right? He was just the other party.
Yeah.
I guess he did knock down Kai Kara France in the first round. That was Pettis' cousin, I believe. And I think they got that guy from looking for a fight. I think Dana White went down to Mexico and saw that kid. All right, so that was the fight of the night. And then the bonuses went to Hua and, Sodiq Yusuff. He was money.
Mm-hmm.
He was a beast.
We've heard about him for a while.
Yeah, he was a beast. That's right. Christos Giagos could have got a nice win. He had hurt Mizuta Hirota early, but he just couldn't finish it, and he went back to being kind of a decision guy. And you guys are right. The first 6 fights were decisions on that fight card. So things started off slow on Fight Pass and then the prelims. However, they were still giving the guys and gals mic time. So usually when they're pressed, they don't do it, but they did it, I guess, because they figured the whole thing was on Fox Sports 1. So even if they had to bleed over, they would. But I thought Jimmy Crute was pretty exciting against Paul Craig.
Yeah.
He got some work done. Hayes got the job done. I just don't know that his stock rose.
I don't know that it ever does.
I thought Ismagulov was very impressive. Youssef for sure was a superstar. He lost his brother, so condolences to him and his family. And while we're on that, let me just sidetrack. Did you guys hear Cal Worsham also passed away this past weekend? Condolences to his family and friends. Cal Worsham, one of the OGs of the UFC. If you go back to, I think it's 6, 7, 8, one of those, Cal Worsham's the guy that almost gets tossed over the octagon fence by Tank Abbott.
He fight Paul Varlins.
He fought Paul Varlins as well. Stepped up many times on late notice. I believe he was a correctional facilities officer up north. And I think he also served our country. So our thoughts and prayers with, again, his family and friends. But you got to respect those guys that put it on the line early on where there were no rules, man. You just didn't know, what was going to happen to you.
A lot of people don't know this, but when Tank was trying to throw him out of the cage, there was a bonus supposedly for anybody that could throw somebody out of the cage.
Okay.
So that was why he was stressing that.
So just to finish things out, we got the bonuses out of the way. I'm surprised Martin didn't get one. I thought him and Jake put a great fight and to get the finish.
Yeah.
Both black belts too.
Yeah, I was gonna say that Kara France and Ismagulov impressed me from prospect wise, but the person probably impressed me most in the card was probably Rocco Martin. There, he was down 2018 on all the cards apparently going into that third round and hits that sweet anaconda variation where he just kind of sunk it in, grabbed the leg, and used that real long guy jiu-jitsu to submit a dude who, like you said, they're both black belts, but I believe Matthews might have even gotten his a little earlier. Not that that matters, but just still a good feather in his cap, man.
Big time, yeah. So you were impressed with Ismagulov? You saw that first fight?
Yeah, I mean, I was on him. I was kind of in and out of the room. Like a lot of these cards, there's just too much MMA. You have to miss some, and I got sucked into the KSW and trying to tune into Bellator early Saturday morning. So a lot of times I'm like trying to run my errands and normal life stuff while these prelims are going on because there's just no goddamn time in the weekend.
Did you watch them all live?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm that nut too, so it makes it even tougher. So yeah, that's why.
Did you?
No, hell, fuck no, dude. What he did was, I want to say, almost impossible. because I just remember when I went back and watched the Bellator cards, I remember thinking, I'm so glad I didn't have to sit through like commercials and the talking, because it would have taken up your whole weekend.
Does, yeah.
All right, so, well, those are the facts and figures from those two fight cards. I think that's what you guys want to know, was the bonuses, the gate, the attendance, all that. I said what I said about Cal Worsham. That I had heard that like 2 days ago, but I didn't want to just go off a post on the UG. I now found some credible sites that were reporting that as well. So that's a bummer. All right, let's do the daily debate. I think it's time for that. Today's daily debate, brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio team, is in fact in relation to UFC Fight Night 142, which took place out in Adelaide, Australia this past weekend. As we noted earlier, Justin Willis defeated Mark Hunt, and that was Mark Hunt's last fight. So, with Mark Hunt's UFC career almost certainly over, where is he most likely to land next, guys? Choices: Bellator, One Championship, Rizin, or other. Please comment if you choose other. Goes?
For me, it was between two. One was Rizin because he's got ties to Japan. They love him over there. It would be a good fit, I think. But the other one is other, and it would be PFL. You never know, right?
Go in there,
big paycheck,
get paid, and then go for $1 million.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I have to pick one, so I'm going to pick one, and I'm going to say Rizin because for me, seeing Mark Hunt in Japan just always seems like home. So I'm going to pick Rizin.
Dan?
Yeah, I got to go with the same thing. I really like that PFL one. I didn't think about that, and in a perfect world, maybe it would be that. But again, I'm a homer for nostalgia, man. So send him back to Japan. It's not like he's gonna have crazy fights or he's trying to be like the pound for pound best heavyweight. Remember, just give him some fun fights, get that man paid the money he deserves, and let him do what he wants to do.
So I believe that Rizin is the perfect home for him. But during the year, I don't notice that there's a lot of these cards. And, I mean, it's not like Hunt needs to fight 10 times a year. But, if the scheduling isn't right, in regards to injuries or whatever, you're not ready to go. You're not ready to go. What I like is the frequency of fights I see from One Championship. And One Championship is kind of all over Asia as well, with kind of the exception of Japan. So if he's married to wanting to go back to his roots, then sure. Rizin's probably the spot. But I think One Championship is the play here, guys. They're the ones that have been recruiting, and they've been going after some of the highly coveted free agents. I feel like they're also in the lead there. Sounds like they're stacking paper and they're sharing it.
Brandon Vera versus Mark Hunt.
I'll tell you what, man. Bellator's not, they obviously pay too, and they got the option of Bellator kickboxing. And PFL was actually a really, really good other from Goes. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. They want one answer. I'm gonna go with One Championships. But wow, I think all of them can bring a compelling case.
Yeah, I think they all make sense. But if you're Bellator, maybe that's probably the one division where you could say, we kind of got a lot of heads here. Maybe let's try and focus on other divisions. I don't know that they would spend money right now for Mark Hunt. If this were like a year before,
good point.
I think for sure they'd jump on something like that. But I think it's one of those where Bellator might go, man, I just wish this happened a little bit earlier. We would definitely swallow them up. But I think it's going to be Rizin. But I wouldn't be shocked. One Championship, that'll give us a great indication of where they're trying to go, right?
Thank you to the 1,725 of you that voted. Junkie Nation, our readers of the site, our listeners of the show. We appreciate it. It did break down that way, Goes. One Championship got 39% of the votes.
Wow.
Bellator came in second with 34%. Rizin came in with 23%. And Other got 4%. All right, there you have it. There's the Daily Debate brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio team. Do we have one more break? Or are we good?
I believe we have one more.
All right, we got to take it then. Let's do that. MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, Channel 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
They say your life will be a lot better. Here are Gorgeous and Goes.
All right, we're back. Lots of major headlines from the NFL on Sunday. The Green Bay Packers fired head coach Mike McCarthy. And, guys, this was done literally minutes after they lost their game to Arizona at home. Plus, the Kansas City Chiefs offense, they didn't miss a beat, even after the release of star running back Kareem Hunt. See, what you want to do is you want to hear from these expert analysts, former players, and coaches as they react to all the games right now on SiriusXM NFL Radio. That's Channel 88. And streaming on your phone or at home on connected devices and speakers. You know that eliminator pool that Sammy the Squid started is still going on?
I got eliminated.
Nick Abbott is
last week.
Eliminated.
Nick Abbott is one of the 3 that's left.
Is he really?
Yeah.
You know how I'd want to eliminate people from a contest? It's harder in the day of the age of internet, but by giving them boots, you know?
Boots?
We used to hide a boot in someone's backpack in theater, and they open like, why is there a boot? I'm like, giving you the boot. Get out of here. You got the boot. And we would place a boot by somebody.
But you have to go out and buy a boot.
You have to actually physically find a way to get to surprise them with a boot, and so they go, "What is this for?" Like, you're getting the boot.
Speaking of boots, none of you guys would ever drink out of a shoe, right? Enough with this.
No, I would.
You would?
Yeah. But what I wouldn't do is what Mark Raimondi did from MMA Fighting.
Somebody else's?
No, what he did was he lost the bet. He was with Sean Al-Shadi. And Sean said, you got to pay up. So they put beer in the shoe, and Mark tells Sean to spit in it. On top of the beer, he told Sean to spit in it, and Sean spit in it, and then he drank it.
That's how you're supposed to do it.
I didn't know that. I haven't seen Tai Tuivasa tell people to spit in it. He just drinks it.
He does.
Okay.
Oh, he does?
Yeah. You got to go back and watch it, but like someone like on his first one,
when he's leaving?
Someone tries to give it to him, and he goes, you see him motion like spit first. You can't. He's not mic'd up because it's they're following him walk away from the octagon, and he's going like this, like spit. And the guy's like, all right, and he spits in it. Then he goes and pours it and drinks it and chews it. So he's actually.
Now, you saw what Israel Adesanya did, right?
Yeah.
He just did like what was the equivalent of like a shot, and it looked like a decent shoe. It was probably his own, and he just did it, and that was it.
I wouldn't even do it on my own.
Well, who else are you gonna do it out of someone else? If you were gonna do it.
If I were going to do it,
yeah,
I'd rather do it out of my own. And
you'd rather not have someone spit in it too, right?
Of course.
Yeah, so there you go. That's what I'm saying. If you're ever going to get me to do it, it's not going to be a true shoey. And guess what? I'll be just fine. But I'll
if you're going to do it, you got to just do it.
Huh?
If you're going to do it, you just got to do it.
Nah, man, I'm not trying to get the spit. Why is that even necessary?
It's times like this it makes me wish we did some kind of betting thing here for picks. If we did
you have to look at me every day and know I spit in something that you drink.
I would do it. I would put myself involved if we did like a picks thing, you know, like was I would bet on the main event weekend, and if I had the chance to see one of you guys do it, I would put my hat in knowing that I might have to be the one by that bullet. I'd have to
start with just one of my own shoes and doing it and see if I could graduate to the next level.
Here's what I wouldn't do.
Call me a pussy.
You said he didn't do beer. Izzy did like a shot?
Something, yeah.
See,
I could do the beer. It doesn't matter what the drink is.
I like whiskey and I like hard liquor. That's not a problem. But here's why I wouldn't. But here's why I wouldn't do that. I would do the one with the spit, but here's where I bow out. If you do it with the spit and hard liquor over beer, you're going to get a foaminess from texture to looks. It's going to just wash out that spit. Whereas you have someone spit, then you throw like some whiskey on there. It's going to be floating to the top, and you're going to see it. You're probably going to feel it go down your throat like that little like.
I'm close today, guys.
I'm sorry. But yeah, that's why that's where I would bow out.
I thought the whiskey would kill all that.
It probably would kill it from alcohol content, but from visual to texture, what you're feeling going down.
I think if you see them do it, they just do it, then that's it. It's a done thing.
But it would be in my head more.
Swish it and then go, oh wow, there's the loogie.
It would be in my head more. You get beer, you get that cross foam. It washes it, it cleanses it, and I'm like, okay, it's all the same going down. It looks the same, it feels the same, but you put that fine.
Who's the last guy
whiskey.
you want to spit in it? By the way,
Tim Johnson.
Who?
I don't know why I always go Tim Johnson on these answers.
The last guy you would want the big, tall, white guy?
He's the
big,
he's the big burly guy with the chest hair and the
let's
mustache.
go from a movie. Do we have time? Shit.
Oh.
I was
from
thinking
a movie,
Jack.
the Body Ventura.
How about Jack Dawson from when he spits? He went deep, right? On Titanic?
Yeah.
Who's the old lady from the Goonies with the messed up face?
Mrs. Fratelli?
Her.
Nah, I'd rather her do it than. Did you ever see Predator with Jesse the Body?
Oh, what about? Oh God, now I'm gonna throw up.
Who'd you rather bang?
He's going. He's going.
Can we end this conversation?
What
I
if
feel like I'm gonna
What
barf.
if Viking did the equivalent boogie to what he did with that booger? We got to get out of here before Ghost throws up. Want to thank Colby Covington for his time. And the rest of you, we'll see you all tomorrow with another edition of MMA Junkie Radio. Go out there and be a champion.